Hello everyone, with the Jamaica here, and welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Saturday evening, October 11, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you all like this video. I'd really appreciate it if you all get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what that's been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we need to take a look at climatology, considering that we are somewhere in here. We're at the first 10 days in October, so we're definitely falling off of the map in terms of activity. So the peak of Atlantic hurricane season has already passed. That was October 10. So we're starting to wrap up the season in general. So we see the reds and the yellows that represents the hurricanes and tropical storm activity. Definitely going to be dwindling down as we head into the latter part of November. So we still have a lot more to go. Let's see if it actually brings us something before all is said and done. But regarding this time period from October 10 to from October 11 to October 20, considering that today is October 11, these are the areas that we usually see systems forming: tropical cyclones, if not subtropical storms. All of these yellow dots represents where we've had a tropical system form. We see a lot of them across the southwestern Caribbean, just to the west of Jamaica, the southwestern Atlantic right here to the north of the Bahamas. Even the main development region can still produce some amount of systems that push through into the Caribbean, if not pushing to the north. It's going to be very interesting to see exactly what takes place. But as it relates to Jamaica, we see one that formed right here and pushed to the northeast, then crashed into eastern Jamaica as it pushed to the northwest. Another one formed right here just to the east of Nicaragua, pushed to the east northeast, then to the northeast, and then crossed over Jamaica. Very interesting. We'll see it actually plays out regarding the next 10 days of October. Regarding the typical origins and tracks, basically the same thing. Most of the systems usually form here in the Western Caribbean, pushing northward into Cuba, if not out to sea right here near Florida or off the east coast of the US. And regarding the latest sea surface temperature anomalies map, this map just came out at on October 10, and as you can see, we still have a lot of very warm sea surface temperatures to work with across the Gulf, the Caribbean, the main development region. And we still have a lack of El Nino. So we don't have El Nino. We have neutral like conditions, if not almost La Nina like conditions, if it hasn't been declared as yet. And we know that these were the conditions that we had that brought us Hurricane Beryl. A lack of El Nino, so we don't have crazy systems forming down here, thus causing a lot of upper level wind shear across the Caribbean into the Atlantic at all. We have the opposite, so little to no wind shear, thus causing the Atlantic to be spitting out even more systems for sure. And it's not only about how warm the waters are at the skin or at the surface of the ocean, but even the deep warm water. This one just came out today, October 11, and it highlights how warm the waters are the deeper we go. And we see that the deepest, warmest water is in and around the Caribbean, to the south of Cuba, to the east of the Yucatan, Belize, to the north of Honduras, to the south of Hispaniola, extending all the way over into the eastern Caribbean. And if we actually get a system to sit on top of all of these very warm waters, it's just going to be churning up even more warm water, unlike the sea surface map, which would leave a cool wake on top of the water. This one is just going to be churning up even more warm water for these systems to work with. So we don't want any system to take advantage of these very warm waters in and around Jamaica at all. Alright, so let us take a look at some expert insight. This is Ben Knoll, and he's a global writer, weather, and meteorologist for the Washington Post, who from time to time makes some very accurate posts here on Twitter about what's expected across the Atlantic. And he stated here in his latest post that came out 2 days ago, stating that rising air will cross the Atlantic during mid-October, but after that, sinking air settles in. This may put a cap on just how conducive the atmosphere is to storms emerging from Central America and the Caribbean late in the month. And he said right here that there's going to be rising air in the middle part of the month, so October 10 to at least October 18. And we see the blues, we see the greens into the blues represents that rising air across our neck of the woods. So who knows, we might get a few more systems to formulate this next 7-day time period. And then as you can see, the oranges into the greens combat the sinking air, so it's definitely going to be suppressing our neck of the woods as we head through October 18 and beyond. Let's see how it actually plays out. We definitely have to pay close attention. We know how these maps are. Sometimes they actually verify, sometimes they don't, but let us take his word for it. Taking a look at the U.S. National Hurricane Center's 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook that just came out at 7:13 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:13 p.m. Jamaica time, we can see that we now have the remnants of Jerry. So Jerry is no longer a tropical storm. We can see that we now have also a code orange, something that has a medium chance of development within the next 7 days. And you can see it right here, just to the southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands, should be pushing towards the northwest and then pushing northward. So it's not going to be making it close to the Caribbean at all. And if we take a look at the infrared for this evening, we can see the clouds associated with what's left of Tropical Storm Jerry. We can see the clouds associated with that code orange that has no medium chance of development as it pushes off towards the northwest. And we still have a lot of moisture associated with the trough, a tropical wave right here to the south of Jamaica. A lot of rain is going to be taking place for sure over the next 48 hours. And look at that, a lot of moisture still pushing off of the African coast. Very interesting. We'll see how it all plays out over the next 7 days. I know that if something should form off this code orange, the next name on the list after Jerry and Karen, if you remember we had Karen just to the north of the Azores, the next name on the list is Lorenzo. So maybe we can get Lorenzo out of that one, then who knows, maybe Melissa after that with the one coming off of Africa. We'll see it actually plays out. Regarding the latest here on the surface map, we were seeing the tropical wave right in here. I don't know why they removed it. More than likely because it's interacting with the trough, and the trough is more dominant across the northwestern Caribbean into the Bahamas. We can also see the trough right here attached to an area of low pressure, and we see the purple symbol associated with what's left of Jerry. And we also see that tropical wave that has a medium chance of development over the next 7 days. And if we take a look back at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before we lost sunlight, we can definitely make out the clouds associated with that trough right in here. A lot of the moisture pushing up towards the northeast across Cuba into the Bahamas. We can also see the clouds associated with that other trough right in here. And what's left of Jerry right here, that tropical wave right in here. All of these being steered from east to west, if not southeast to northwest, all courtesy of these ridges of high pressure to the north. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Saturday, October 11, 2025. It was stated that rainfall could have been in the forecast of parts of some eastern, central, western, and especially northern parishes on a Saturday afternoon. And we know that eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, and St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, Westmoreland, and St. Elizabeth. And we know in northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes on top, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland. And what ended up happening? Well, we need to highlight the fact that yes, we predicted that there would have been rainfall across most parishes on Friday, but it was mainly across some central, western, and especially northern parishes. So Kingston and St. Andrew definitely didn't get in much of anything, and the people were upset. But look at what took place at around 2:41 a.m. even earlier than that. We had some heavy rainfall in the downtown Kingston, well, in the St. Andrew area in general. We had some flooding as well, as we saw the See Jamaica's YouTube channel highlighting that for sure. Just to confirm that we definitely got some heavy early morning rainfall and flooding across those spots, all courtesy of this southerly flow of the clouds, and we see that was induced by the tropical wave interacting with the trough. And we also highlighted the post that was made highlighting the afternoon isolated thunder shower activity that was taking place. A lot of clouds still pushing in from the south, bringing some overcast skies, if not some isolated thunder showers, not only to the northern parishes with the daytime heating, but even sections of some southern parishes definitely gotten on some of the action, from Westmoreland into St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas definitely gotten on some of the thunderstorm activity. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before we lost sunlight, look at the flow of the low level clouds and the mid-level clouds and the upper level clouds pushing off towards the north. And even before the sunlight was lost, we were still getting on some thunderstorm activity across section of Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, even in sections of St. Thomas. I was definitely getting on some rainfall. As a matter of fact, even before I started recording, there was a huge downpour in my area of St. Thomas. And look at the infrared confirming the thunderstorms across sections of the island. All of these blues into the greens, into the yellows, oranges, reds, blacks, that represents that cumulonimbus cloud cover. All of these sparkling white dots as well, that represents some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, across St. Thomas, into St. Catherine, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, into Hanover as well. So we definitely gotten on the thunderstorm activity pushing towards the north, and we're glad to see that the Jamaican Doppler radar imagery is back. This one also confirming that rainfall pushing from south to north. All of the greens into the yellows into the gold, that represents that light to moderate, even some heavy rainfall, especially across Westmoreland, Hanover, St. Catherine, well, St. Elizabeth, sections of St. James getting in some of the action, so to Trelawney, St. Anne, Manchester. Not really seeing much here right now across Clarendon or St. Catherine, but they definitely got on some of the action earlier. We can also see where we had some rainfall pushing into sections of Kingston, St. Andrew as well, almost up to this point. And we see the rain bands pushing into section of St. Thomas as well. We're going to be looking at what's taking place right now shortly. But we're taking a look at the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel at around 5:25 p.m. in Little London. And they were definitely getting out some moderate to heavy rainfall all day today around here, on and off for the most part. And then another downpour here at 5:25 p.m. Look at the blinding rainfall. The windshield wipers definitely on. People taking shelter over here, just as predicted with that low level to mid level flow of the clouds from the south. They definitely gotten on some decent rainfall over there today, and I'm sure they're going to be getting on some more tonight into tomorrow as well, as this trough continues to affect the island. And if we take a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, this map is also confirming where we had that rainfall last night into early this morning, as well as up to this point. And we see almost all parishes getting in on some amount of rainfall. We see the purples into the blues into the greens. That represents all of the rainfall here in millimeters on the bottom. And we definitely have some comments that came in here from some of our followers confirming what the weather was like in their area. We have Guna Princess stating rain and more rain in her area. First Genius stating we get heavier rain than in the night. We also have comments here on our YouTube page. TM-RS stating rain showers moving into Spanish Town right now. Nice rain. Popeye Brooks stating rain in Southwest St. Elizabeth right now. Juanita 2 Hines 288 stating rain like crazy in West End Negril now. Plenty water on the ground. Active 4081 sitting place wet here now with the Jamaica. Thanks for confirming. Even on our Facebook page we had the comments coming in. Just load them up quickly. Alright, so I see 11 comments. Let us read them all. We have Randale stating good evening weather Jamaica. We didn't have any rain in Brownstown St. Anne, but it is now partly cloudy. We have Leonie stating overcast in my part of St. Elizabeth. Chantal Clark stating rain all over. Naiki Ben stating raining in Maypen, Clarendon. Stephanie stating raining in St. Elizabeth. Colleen stating raining in North Central Clarendon. Shelly Ann stating rain in some of Trelawney. Karen stating rain in Kingston. Vanessa stating raining in Negril now. Audrey stating it's raining in Manchester now. And we even had some comments that came in on our Instagram page. Mex_B stating it start raining from around 1 a.m. Lightning and thunder, thank God. It was at that time. Sleep was great. We also have Alex the Motivator stating it started to rain around after 1 o'clock in the Crossroad area. Slept like a baby. We have Being Sue stating got some early morning rain. Now the sun is out. Hope it rains in the afternoon. I hope you got that rain. We have Realm_JA stating Portmore did get it this morning around 1 a.m. ish. Woke me up. We have Jaja Nya stating actually rain started at 11 p.m. on Friday in the Mannings Hill area of Kingston. It was heavy. We also have Anto_Netty_89 stating it started raining heavily with lightning and thunder at around 1:30 a.m. in my area of Washington Gardens in St. Andrew. We also have Sashi stating raining in Mandeville 1 hour ago. Euthicaro stating final little shower in Spanish Town. Oh my god, we did a dead for it. We have Edward Stinisha posting 1 hour ago stating rain and thunderstorm started at 4 here and man is it terrible. I wonder where is here Edward Stinisha. We also have Akeem Reese sitting it's raining. Where is it raining? I wish you all would tell me where it's actually raining. I thank you all for confirming what the weather was like in your area up to this point. Let us reload the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website. Let us see what's happening right now. Alright, so the latest still image from the Weather Nerds website is showing 0025 UTC, which is actually 7:25 p.m. So this just came out 11 minutes ago, considering that it is 7:37 p.m. right now. And as you can see, we still have some clouds across the eastern, central, and western portions of the island. Look at that, some lightning were across northern to central St. Andrews, so maybe they're still getting on somewhat of rainfall over there. We're also seeing some clouds, so maybe some rainfall still affecting portions of St. Elizabeth, St. James, Trelawney, Hanover, Westmoreland. Can you all confirm for me? Well, you don't need to, because we have the nice Jamaican Doppler radar image to show, and we're going to be reloading the latest image from it. Alright, so let us pause this and go to the very latest, which is showing 0015Z. Alright, so let us zoom in as well. Alright, so here we go. What's taking place right now is this. We're actually getting in on some moderate to heavy rainfall in the greens and yellows across section of Kingston and St. Andrew right now. Some rainfall across western St. Thomas. I'm definitely getting in on some of that rainfall. Some rainfall across eastern St. Thomas. So too some rainfall across coastal St. Anne, Trelawney, section of St. James into western Hanover, eastern Hanover, section of central Westmoreland, sections of northwest St. Elizabeth, southern St. Elizabeth, and eastern and northern St. Elizabeth. Definitely getting on some rainfall as we speak. And look at that, we're still seeing a lot more moisture to the south of us, and all of that is expected to push northward into sections of these southern parishes and then eventually across the northern parishes for sure. So we still have more rainfall to get this evening into tonight. The K-band Doppler radar not echoing what we're seeing at all on the Jamaican Doppler radar, because it glitched out this morning at around 7:10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 6:10 a.m. Jamaica time. At that time, we saw some moderate to heavy rain bands to the west of us. The Guantanamo Bay U.S. Navy radar also echoing what we saw on the Jamaican Doppler radar. We're definitely seeing that southerly flow of the rainfall pushing in. We see the rain bands right here between Jamaica and Haiti, some rain bands that affected the north coast, pushing into the portions right here of southeastern Cuba. And if we take a look at the Cayman radar, and the rainfall here on the Cayman radar is not looking like it's pushing more south to north. It looks like it's pushing more southwest to northeast if you look closely. And we see a lot of greens into the yellows. There's some moderate to heavy rain bands here and there. Some rain bands right here to the southwest of Grand Cayman right here. A lot of rain bands right here just to the west of Jamaica, pushing out towards the northeast. So there's still a lot more rainfall to come for sure within the next 24 to 48 hours. And if we take a look at what's taking place right now, the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, this is showing Clarendon, not really seeing much of anything. But I'm pretty sure that if I load up maybe Kingston, St. Andrew, they're definitely getting on some amount of rainfall as we speak. So let us load up the live camera here downtown. We're loading up, what is this, Halfway Tree Transport Center. There we go. It's soaking wet, definitely soaking wet over here around the transport center. We can also see the crossroads cam showing that we're definitely getting on some rainfall over here as well. Yep, can see it soaking wet right there. Let us see what's happening here on the, what is this? This is the Maple Clarendon. No, I didn't want to see the Maple Clarendon again. But as you can see, there's definitely some rainfall in the Kingston to the St. Andrew areas for sure. And definitely see it soaking wet. I'm sure that if I backtrack the camera just a little, there we go. Heavy rainfall. This is some heavy rainfall. What time was this? 7:21 p.m. and the time is now what? Almost 7:40, if not 7:40 p.m. Look how heavy the rainfall is in halfway tree at that time. This is crazy, and we're expecting some more of this tonight for sure. All right, taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see about 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 4 a.m. on Sunday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18Z on Sunday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Sunday, and we see Jamaica right here embedded in the grays represents average temperatures. So average temperatures are in the forecast for Jamaica on Sunday. We know the average temperature for October is around 89 degrees Fahrenheit. When that's converted to degrees Celsius that we use here in Jamaica, that's around 31.6 degrees Celsius. So that should be the temperature forecast for Jamaica on a Sunday. And we don't have any maintenance outage advisories here from my JPS online Twitter page that we have to highlight, so we're grateful for that. But we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. Dress down, check on others, be cool, avoid alcohol and caffeine because they can make dehydration worse. Limit non-essential strenuous activity during the hottest part of the day and keep hydrated throughout the day. As you know this, we still see a lot of moist air across the Caribbean into the southwestern Atlantic. A lot of moist air where we have that code orange as well, and that's what we want more of, more moist air, so that we get more clouds, so we get more rainfall to keep the temperatures down and to keep water in our pipes. The Saharan dust forecast for October 12 to October 13 and 14 should keep Jamaica in the clear. Just some slight Saharan dust pushing through the northeastern Caribbean is what we're seeing here, and we're grateful for that. We don't want a vigorous plume at all. The wave forecast still showing that the lowest waves are across the Caribbean. The light shades are blues to blues. They represents anywhere from 0.5 for meter wave height all the way up to 1 meter wave height. And that's because of the southerly, if not southeasterly flow of the winds across the Caribbean. Well, across the Caribbean where Jamaica is located, averaging anywhere from 5 to 10 to at least 15 knots at most. But regarding the waves around Jamaica, 0.5 for meter wave height to the north of Portland, the same thing to the north of St. Anne, 0.6 for meter wave height to the north of Hanover expected tomorrow, 0.5 for meter wave height to the south of Westmoreland, 0.4 for meter wave height to the south of Clarendon, and to the south of St. Thomas, 0.5 for meter wave height expected. And that's because of the southerly flow still expected across the island tomorrow. So more rainfall bubbling up from the south should be pushing into some southern parishes for sure. And then wherever we have the least amount of winds, that's where we're going to be having some daytime heating, low level clouds becoming mid-level rain clouds, if not upper level cumulonimbus clouds on the north coast. And we're still expecting that southerly upper level wind shear for sure. So something similar to what took place today, upper level clouds being sheared off towards the north for sure. And regarding the rain forecast for tomorrow, first of all, tonight, still seeing a lot of rainfall because both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 10 p.m. Jamaica time. Still seeing a lot of rainfall encompassing the entire island, especially the south coast for sure. Then by tomorrow, this is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is actually 1 p.m. Jamaica time. We see the rain bands. First of all, the Euro is showing some heavy rain bands right here to the northwest of us in the greens, yellows, and oranges. But we see the blues across eastern, central, western parishes. GFS showing something similar, eastern, central, western parishes in that afternoon rainfall for sure. So please ensure that you get that laundry done early. As a matter of fact, the rainfall could already start in the morning for especially section of some southern parishes. But clearly it's going to be even more exacerbated during the afternoon. So hurry up and get all your tasks, outdoor tasks, that is, done. And even the total accumulated precipitation forecast maps here from the Euro and the GFS models that are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Sunday are showing that there's definitely going to be rainfall. We see the red getting up to 1 inch of rainfall and the GFS showing something similar, 0.91 of an inch of rainfall. So there could definitely be some isolated flash flooding taking place in some spots, and whatever happens, we'll take it, because we're in the month of October, and in St. Mary, whose bar graph is being shown right here, we usually receive 172 millimeters of rainfall this month. That's about the same as 6.8 inches of rainfall, while in St. Catherine, we usually receive 185 millimeters of rainfall in October. That's about the same as 7.3 inches of rainfall. And if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives in terms of rainfall for the month of October or for the entire year, you can visit nomadseason.com, and that website to show you that information. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here at the top as we go to the next 168 hours. That stands for the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and especially the greens that represents inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. So we just looked at Sunday's forecast, and we're going to be looking at Monday. 12 is actually 7 a.m. on Monday, and we can see here not really much taking place across Jamaica on Monday morning. With some moisture to the east of us though. Then it's Monday afternoon that brings us the rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the GFS show? Rainfall to the west of us or across western parishes on Monday morning. Then Monday afternoon, look at the moisture across eastern, central, and western parishes. Very interesting. What do we see on Tuesday morning? On Tuesday morning, not really seeing much of anything across the island. On Tuesday afternoon, we're seeing some isolated showers across eastern, central, and western parishes. What does the GFS show? Tuesday morning, maybe some rainfall across the far eastern end of the island. Tuesday afternoon, maybe some isolated showers across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. What do we see on Wednesday morning? On Wednesday morning, we're seeing some rainfall across the far eastern end. And then on Wednesday afternoon, maybe some rainfall across some eastern, southern, and western parishes. What do we see on the GFS? Wednesday morning, rainfall to the north of us, rainfall to the south of us. Wednesday afternoon, we're seeing that rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes. What do we see on Thursday morning? Thursday morning, not really seeing much of anything on the Euro. Thursday afternoon, we're seeing rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. What do we see on the GFS? Thursday morning, rainfall across the far western end of the island. Thursday afternoon, look at that rainfall across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. What do we see on Friday morning? On a Friday morning, we're actually seeing some moisture across some northern and southeastern parishes, especially the southeast. Very interesting. Then on Friday afternoon, rainfall across sections of some central and eastern parishes once again. And we're stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for Saturday, October 18, and we're seeing rainfall across the far eastern end again. What does the GFS show? Friday morning, we're seeing moisture across sections of the northwest and the southern portion of the island. Then on Friday afternoon, we're seeing rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. And we're stopping it right here at the end of the 168 hours as well. So this is valid for Saturday, October 18. And we're actually seeing some moisture across sections of some central and western parishes. We'll see it actually plays out. And if we take a look at the total accumulated precipitation for the next 7 days, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are adamant that within from now up until Saturday, October 18, there should definitely be some rainfall for sure across the Greater Antilles. Wherever we see the dark reds into the purples and the pinks represents up to 2 to 5 inches of rainfall. We're seeing that across the Bahamas, into Cuba, the Cayman Islands, and portions of Jamaica, sections of Central America into Northern South America, as well as even portions of the Northeastern Caribbean for sure, still getting on some amount of rainfall. And we see that it's not only the Euro that's showing this, but the GFS is also in agreement with that. So there should definitely be some isolated flash flooding in some of these spots, while other areas that are shaded in the greens, into the yellows, into the oranges and reds should be getting on an inch of rainfall. We're talking about the Yucatan all the way over into the Lesser Antilles. Regarding Jamaica's rainfall totals for the next 7 days, both maps right here are also showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until Saturday, October 18. And we see Jamaica shaded from the eastern end to the western end, in the greens, into the yellows, into the oranges. That represents anywhere from 15 all the way up to at least 50 millimeters of rainfall. The GFS right here showing even more than what the Euro is showing. So the yellows into the oranges, that represents anywhere from 30 all the way up to maybe even 60, maybe even 70 millimeters of rainfall. We'll see it actually plays out, and whatever happens, I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs if God spares life. Taking a look at what's happening across the rest of the basin. So as stated, we have that trough pushing a southwesterly flow, a lot of moisture into the Cayman Islands, Cuba, the Bahamas, and then we have that tropical wave interacting with that trough, pushing all of that moisture from south to north into Jamaica. Definitely some decent rainfall is what we're going to be experiencing within the next 48 hours, and we're grateful for that. Outer bands from what was left of Jerry still affecting portions of the northeastern Caribbean. That tropical wave definitely looking formidable to the southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands, and that's expected to bring some decent bad weather out to sea as it pushes out towards the north. Regarding what's taking place near Puerto Rico, let us see what's taking place. Not really seeing much of anything. Oh, there we go. It's actually took some time to load. But we're seeing some moderate heavy rainfall to the south of Puerto Rico, to the south of the US Virgin Islands, to the east of Antigua and Barbuda and Guadeloupe. And if we load these images from earlier today, we saw we had some decent rain bands to the southeast of there, across the far eastern end of the Dominican Republic as well. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we're actually seeing some hit or miss isolated showers pushing in from the east, pushing into section of Martinique, section of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada getting some of the action as well. And if we take a look at the weather wave Doppler radar images, we're still seeing all of that moisture pushing from southwest to northeast into Cuba, the Cayman Islands, western Jamaica, Honduras getting some rainfall, so to Colombia, Venezuela. And if we take a look at where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, both maps right here from the Euro and the GFS are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Sunday. And we see the we see the greens into the yellows, into the oranges, into the reds, into the dark reds, into the purples. That represents anywhere from 0.1 of an inch of rainfall all up to at least 3 inches of rainfall. We see especially the 3-inch range up into the Bahamas, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, section of Jamaica. We also see that expected across sections of Costa Rica into Colombia, northwestern Venezuela, while other areas that are shaded in the greens up into the reds, at least an inch or less of rainfall for areas such as Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua, section of Panama, so too Venezuela, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, section of St. Lucia, Martinique, Dominica, Guadeloupe, so too some rainfall for portions of St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, the US and British Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti. And we can clearly see that it's not only the Euro model that's showing this, but the GFS is showing something similar. And we know that when they're in agreement like this, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. Regarding what's taking place across the Eastern Pacific, we now have tropical depression Raymond. Raymond has downgraded back to a depression. And to the southeast of Raymond, we now have a code orange, something else that wants to acquire a name. And it would definitely acquire the S name. As you can see, tropical depression Raymond here bring a lot of thunderstorms to portions of northwestern Mexico as we speak. Expected to bring some more moisture into the United States as well. We also see that area that could become the next name system, a lot of moisture to the south of Mexico, and we know that the next name after Raymond is Sonia, so let's see if it actually acquires that name. Regarding the latest here on tropical depression Raymond, it is now moving towards the northwest at 14 miles per hour. Definitely a tropical depression with 35 mile per hour winds, and by 11 p.m. on Saturday Mexico time, it should be back to a remnant low, no longer a tropical depression at all. Regarding what's taking place, regarding what's expected regarding the rainfall here, so expecting up to 1 to 4 inches of rainfall across these areas that are expected to get some more rainfall from what's left of that system. What's it called again? That's Raymond. Alright, so regarding what's taking place on the western Pacific side of things, just to the south of Japan, we're still watching tropical storm Nakri right here, still looking formidable, still affecting portion of the southern Japanese islands as we can see here, and it's expected to continue strengthening. It's now packing 55 knot wind, and it's expected to continue pushing out towards the northeast, then eventually to the east, definitely remaining offshore, but could still affect some of the southern Japanese islands right here to the south of Tokyo. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.